how it should be done.
What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to y'all as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one, and we appreciate your support. If you haven't already too, notice there's that join button, 3 different tiers, different ways you could support us here on Unique Access Entertainment. Working on a lot of different things and trying to get to the next level of the game. So any way you guys can support us is great. And make sure too, you watch a video or two so we get in your algorithm so you're seeing more of our stuff. I see people in the comments. I got people hitting me all the time. So make sure we get in your algorithm so you can keep seeing this great content that trying to bring to y'all on a regular basis. Now today for best albums, man, we got a great one. Dazzie Dee, thank you for coming through.
Let's get it, sir. How you doing?
Man, everything is great, man. Always a treat when I get to speak to you, man. And Dazzie Dee has selected for his best albums, Low Profiles, We're in This Together. Now, man, this album, phenomenal on so many different levels. I got familiar, of course, with Low Profile through Rhyme Syndicate coming through compilation. That was my first real introduction to what they had going on. And then We're in This Together coming out about a year later. Man, so we'll take it. So many great songs on here. So overall, when you first think about this album, Dazzie, what does it mean to you as a person and as a fan?
True, pure West Coast hip hop. At a time when we was all trying to figure it out. As far as what our sound was going to be for the West Coast. Them dudes, man, they embraced it and they put their mark on it.
For sure. And then D.O.C, I think is one of the most, if not the most underrated rapper, maybe in rap history. And then DJ Aladdin is a phenomenal producer and turntablist. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I saw him one time out here in LA. I'd never seen this before, and I never seen it after. I saw him scratching, and then he jumped over the turntables and turned around and didn't miss a beat on his scratches. I've never seen that. So when I saw that, that was sometime in the 90s when I saw him do that. So my jaw dropped. And this is somebody that had loved him since the low profile era, followed him when he was doing all his production with Ice-T and others. So I was a huge Aladdin fan, but I had never seen that. So that was crazy. But with Wearing This Together, the funky song, of course, is a big song off this project. So what do you like about Funky Song?
The intro. How Aladdin just brung in the whole beat. He introduced himself on that track with that Boosie scratch. It was incredible. It actually captures your attention, right? Like, because it comes out of nowhere and it just starts, and it's so crisp and clean. The cuts are so clean, and the next thing you know, the beat just come in. Bah! It's just incredible. It's an incredible record, man.
Yeah, and Dub is on there as well, killing it. But the thing that I really appreciate is you go from funky song to that's how we do, or that's why they do it. And you're going from this super hip hop scratch laden thing to this story rap, but it's also a story rap explaining, which I think Dub does such a great job on. And we get a lot of that on the next album that he did, Ain't a Damn Thing Changed. But the mentality of what's going on in the mind of someone from South Central.
Mm-hmm.
So lyrically, let's talk about that first. That's why they do it. What did that mean for you as somebody growing up in the area at the time and knowing what was happening and just seeing it?
Yeah, well, me and Dub grew up in the same neighborhood, same area, and me and Aladdin, we all went to school together. Me, Tunes, rest in peace, Aladdin, we were all in the same grade. Dub was a grade above us, so just knowing what they knew and knowing what he was saying hit home. You feel me? Because it was real spill, and so to hear Dub tell that story, it was great, man, because Dub is the perfect definition of South Central, right? Like, Long Beach has his own sound, Compton has his own sound. And if you want to give a definition what LA MCs sound like South Central, to be exact, I think Dub, myself, and Ice-T, man, and Threat. There you have it.
Yeah, definitely more on the grimier side of things per se, but also with a lot of and Cube, of course, but also with the perspective, the thoughtfulness. You know, Dub I always thought did such a great job being like the thinking man's quote unquote gangster rapper per se,
Hmm.
or street reporter or reality rap, however people want to say it. But I thought, that's why they do it is like such a brilliant example of that.
Yeah.
And then we get into Pay Your Dues, which, I think also ties into Ain't a Damn Thing Changed with Ghetto Serenade or Dress Code. It's a lot of the songs that he would expand this kind of idea on later.
Hmm.
But when I remember hearing Pay Your Dues, it was about a struggle, but it was a different struggle. So lyrically for you, what did Pay Your Dues mean?
Exactly what he said, man. Exactly what he said. Exactly his approach. See, Dub comes from the underdog. What I'm saying? Dub, even to this day, he probably view himself as the underdog of the West Coast, right? So that was his approach to me in my eyes with his pen when he wrote that. He was like coming from the underdog perspective, like you didn't beat your feet on the concrete. You didn't, what I'm saying, you wasn't in the trenches. You wasn't doing the things that needed to be done in this West Coast hip hop game for you to have the success you have. And he felt the way he felt.
Yeah. And he, of course, gives a shout out to Ice T on there. Uh, and I think Ice T doesn't get a lot of credit for a lot of bringing out a lot of artists or giving people shout outs. Like, I remember Nikki D, had told me that Ice was the first one that heard her rap. He got Ice T got Everlast in the door. He got Dub in the door. He worked with Muggs early on, or, he just had a lot of influence on a lot of artists that ended up being huge, huge artists.
Yeah.
So around that time, what did you get to see while either Dub was working on this or just seeing how Ice T was moving and giving low profile this shot, this chance?
Well, no, you know what? The crazy thing about Dub, and he's still like this to this day. I haven't seen him in a minute, but Dub is real private. Dub is real private, and Dub, all that, what was that? Uh, you've got something that
Mm,
makes me wanna,
mhm.
whatever that video was, where it was just him, uh, tunes and all them in the garage, working on music. That's Dub. That's Dub to a T. So I didn't really get to see a lot, but I just knew how Doug get out. So it only made sense. Like I knew once he got in that garage cooking, he was gonna come out with something dope.
Okay. Yeah, I remember one time I was with them and I was telling Tunes because I used to spend a lot of time with Dub and Tunes, but I remember I was just talking. I said something about, yeah, man, you know, obviously I haven't spent a lot of time there, but when I was there, I was like, yeah, man. I was like, I remember this one time I was on 111th and Western with y'all, and Tunes was like, yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about, Soren. You actually have hung out with us for real. I was like, yeah, 111th and Western. That's what it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
That's the hood. That's the
yeah,
hood.
yes, it is. Okay. And then on We're in This Together, we also got one of my other standouts is Aladdin's on a Rampage.
Yeah.
Uh Aladdin is so brilliant to me, but for you, what did Aladdin's on a Rampage mean for you?
It was the LA version of Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, right? It was one of those things where Dub and them took that concept like, okay, let me rap about my DJ, let me do a song about my DJ, and actually have my DJ rapping via his turntable, which is incredible. I even use a lot of that in my music, where I'll write and I'll let a record finish my words off or finish my line off. So, I respect that record to the fullest. It's pinnacle. And it's one of those things where it's hip hop, man. It's the definition of hip hop.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And I'm just glad that even in this 1989 era when We're in This Together was coming out, that we're getting the you see when you look back and you think about these type of records or records from this era, there's so much scratching. The DJ is still like, a headliner in the game. It's not like now where you usually rarely hear a lot of scratching. And that to me is one of the great things about We're in This Together is it's a real album that shows Dub's supreme lyricism, the production that's great, and then Aladdin is murdering it on the turntables. And
Right.
Aladdin's on a rampage is no different. Now, what about how you living? You remember that one? What do you like about how you living?
One thing about that whole album, uh, as a producer, I loved how Aladdin used those type of samples. You see what I'm saying? Those samples wasn't really popular back then. Um, and Aladdin really, man, the samples that he used for that album, like that particular song right there, is just incredible, man. So that whole album is just dope, brother. But yeah, that song just reminds me of the production value that Aladdin had.
Okay. And then obviously and unfortunately that this is Low Profile's only album, but I did like the awareness together and the sense that I got from what they were doing at the time of the strength, this unity, and this power again that wasn't super hardcore in a profane way or in a gangster way, but it was like very forceful at the same time. So
Yeah.
how because I when I was hearing this, I was growing up in Maryland. So as you're hearing it, experiencing it, and seeing it, how did you see the difference of a super hardcore low profile versus a super hardcore Cube or N.W.A album?
Well, here's the thing about Cube, right? Cube, and there's no disrespect, no whatsoever, but Cube is a great reporter. He's a great news reporter, meaning, he can look around in his environment and kind of, tell you the story from his eyes, opposed to Dub actually doing some of those things himself and actually in the trenches, you know what I'm saying, hanging out, and being in the trenches and knowing some of these cats for real, or living with them, hanging with them day to day for real. So Dub's approach to his writing was a little more, uh, I say, accurate when he talked about certain things. So that was the biggest difference, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it because it was really, if you want to say album is reality rap, I think that's probably the definition of that album.
Yeah, it's super powerful. And
Yeah,
make room for the W too.
yeah.
Uh toward the end of the project, what did you like about that one?
Same thing. That sample he Latin used, and then move back punk and make room for the W. That just Aladdin finding that W from that what was that from Big Daddy Kane?
Yeah, I think so.
Um, and scratching that and turning that into the whole damn chorus. Come on, man. It's hip hop, man. It's just hip hop, bro.
hmm And two, the album ends with No Mercy, which I do remember a lot of times some of the heavier songs,
Mhm.
or at least more serious, however way you want to look at serious, they would often be the last song. Like on Death Certificate, it's Us by Ice Cube, which is a very, or other than No Vaseline, but it's the last real song I would say. So it kind of flips a lot of what Death Certificate's talking about in a different way.
Mhm.
So, with No Mercy lyrically, what do you think Dub brought on that one that was different or distinctive?
Same thing, dub being dub, man. The reality rap. I think that whole album, lyrically, is basically the same to me. Like throughout every song, he didn't jump out of character. He didn't do anything weird. He didn't try to force you to believe something that he wasn't. So I mean, lyrically, the whole album feels like that to me. And production wise, the production is what took you through that journey.
For sure. Okay. So now when you look back at Low Profiles, we're in this together. Why do you think it's one of the best albums?
Hip hop, man. It's hip hop. It's really hip hop. Like if you want to listen to a record from the late 80s, early 90s, and you want to get your perspective of what the LA scene was as far as hip hop go, when if you listen to a Gangstar or you listen to a Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince album, or you listen to a Pete Rock and CL Smooth album, you go, okay, that's how them brothers was living on the East Coast. How was brothers living, on the West? That record is the perfect definition, man, as far as their approach to making music.
Well, Dazzie D, there it is, man. Thanks so much for coming through the best albums, man. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother. What's up?